Michael, there were several reports yesterday that came out about Jayden Daniels, and then we heard directly from the head coach of the Washington Commanders, Dan Quinn, it's a knee sprain, and he will have to hit all of the return-to-play marks to play on Sunday.
Yeah, I think this is a down-to-the-wire one, and we saw this last year. He had the injured rib that we later learned was partially fractured. He was pretty committed to playing through it, and he found a way to play through it. The question is this a guy who's really tough, wants to be out there with his teammates, or is this the second coming of RG3 where he's telling the coaching staff when he does and doesn't play? I think there are more responsible people in the room now, but you've got to be careful with this guy. He very clearly wants to be out there at all times, even when it's not necessarily in his best interest.
Yeah, and he is such a good quarterback that I think he could play through a little bit of an injury and not be at his full 100% and yet still win football games. We literally saw him do that last year, but you have to worry about his entire career and the full season that's ahead of us. And so that's why I'm glad I'm not making the decision, because I think it's going to be tough for Dan Quinn or whoever it is to tell Jayden Daniels, look, we need you to sit and be healthy.
Would you play him on Sunday?
I would like to play him on Sunday because I'm tired of watching average quarterback play, and he single-handedly made my Sundays better again. And also, I don't think it's structural. I think it's literally a big bruise from a helmet-to-helmet contact kind of situation on his knee. Ice it up. He's got a full week of rest. If he says he's good, yeah.
We got some things we need to learn here. I would not play him on Sunday. We got some things we need to learn here. They lost to the Green Bay Packers, got run off the field by a bona fide Super Bowl team. The Packers could win the Super Bowl this year. This team thinks it can win the Super Bowl this year. We need to figure out, is that because they have a good enough roster to do so, or is that because they're in every game that number 5 participates in? And by removing that variable, you agree with me. If this is a team that's going to win the Super Bowl, they should be able to beat the Las Vegas Raiders. Let's figure out, is this a Super Bowl team, or is this a team that's still in rebuilding mode, that's good but not great, that is lifted every week by the play of number 5? We need to sort that out. I think Sunday gives us a good opportunity to do so while being extra responsible with your franchise quarterback.
You're right in terms of being extra responsible, but I just don't think the way this team played last Thursday, they're beating anybody, right? So all the talk of, Marcus Mariota and this talented roster could go beat the Vegas Raiders. Well, they're a better team than they were last year. They've got a different coach, and we looked awful Thursday, and we have not looked good in the first 2 weeks of the season here. You lose Jayden Daniels, I think we're going to take a bigger step back, and yeah, we could lose to Vegas.
So if you can't beat the Las Vegas Raiders, who will not participate in the Super Bowl and aren't going to participate in the playoffs either, if you cannot beat the Las Vegas Raiders, why are we having these Super Bowl discussions? Why are we signing veterans instead of developing young players? That's what I need to learn on Sunday. Do we need Bobby Wagner playing 100% of the snaps, or do we need to get Nick Bellore some snaps to build this team for the future when they can win Super Bowls?
Michael, what are we arguing about, though? If the team is a Super Bowl contender, we both know the answer is if Jayden Daniels is healthy, they are a Super Bowl contender.
But without Jayden Daniels, they're not?
No.
There you go. Why are we messing around with all this then? Why are we not building for the future?
Because Jayden Daniels is on a rookie contract, and you have to take advantage of the fact that he's on a rookie contract.
I'm not ready to overreact to the Packers' loss and say they got run off the field, they got no base. This is a team that could bounce back. The Packers have had their number. Historically, the Packers had their number on Thursday night. Matt LaFleur owns Dan Quinn now in head-to-head matchups. That's actually the worst he's ever done against Dan Quinn, by the way. It was still pretty doggone good. This is a team that can hang. They can beat Philly. They can beat Dallas. We've seen it on the field in past years. But to do that, you're going to have to build more roster depth than you've got. The secondary play is not good enough. The defensive line play is not good enough. The offensive line play is not good enough. And we need to figure out, can those groups get better, or are they a paper tiger here, and now that they're facing adversity, they're going to fold, and it's time to give the young guys more playing time?
Look, we can argue whether or not you think Marcus Mariota and this roster that Washington has assembled can beat the Vegas Raiders.
They can.
Right? I want this team to win. That's all that matters to me. But this was your opportunity to improve as an offense on the practice field, and you lose that with this injury. So whether or not Jayden plays on Sunday, they have lost valuable practice time.
Well, and they lost a lot of valuable practice time dealing with the Terry McLaurin contract situation. They've still now had 2 full practices on the field since Terry McLaurin signed his contract. That's no way to build rapport and chemistry. There were major plays in Thursday night's game where Terry McLaurin wasn't on the field, and I agreed with the decision by Cliff Kingsbury and his staff. He's not ready. The chemistry's not ready. We are really looking at a worst-case scenario here in terms of the ability of this team to start fast and the ability of them to build chemistry. They wasted the offseason.
Yeah, and so Marcus Mariota comes in Sunday. If he's able to connect with Terry McLaurin, great, but that's not going to help Jayden Daniels' connection with Terry McLaurin.
Well, it shows you, though, that it could be timing on Jayden's part as well, right? If Marcus comes in, hits Terry McLaurin, that tells you that's a timing issue on the quarterback's part. We have not seen Jayden look sharp as a passer the first two games. I'm telling you, this is not a repeat of the RG3 situation. I've said that many times because Jayden has a much better arm and because Jayden can read defenses much better. But if Jayden is so injured that he's not properly doing that, which may be the case here, it is not worth it to the relationship to let him play just to say you let him play.
Whether or not Jayden Daniels gets the start or it's Marcus Mariota, one thing's clear to me. All three of the coaches need to be better. Joe Witt Jr., Cliff Kingsbury, and Dan Quinn. I'm happy to say I think that was the first time in the Dan Quinn era he was outcoached. And all of his staff was outcoached by the Green Bay Packers. But I have faith in them to have a better game plan against Vegas. But again, it's another matchup in which the opposing team's head coach understands what Dan Quinn likes to do, and that gives me some worry.
Pete Carroll knows exactly what's going on, right? And he coaches a solid team that doesn't make mistakes. And this is a Commanders team that's making way too many mistakes. Think about the penalties that extended Packer drives on Thursday night. You cannot make those plays and still win football games in the NFL. They've got to cut down on penalties. They've got to cut down on mental mistakes. That's going to be a huge part of winning this game Sunday.
Whether or not it's Jayden Daniels or Marcus Mariota, that's a conversation we can have all week long. I'll ask you right now, who should be the team starting right tackle against Vegas?
Well, I think you start with Josh Connerly. I think you give him the chance and you say, look, that was an elite matchup there against Micah Parsons. That's as tough as it's ever going to get in the NFL. Give him.
Is it? Max Crosby might have something to say.
Max Crosby is one dude who's coming from a predictable spot. You can give him John Bates. You can chip. Micah Parsons is so fast, so dynamic. I think Micah Parsons is the tougher matchup, personally. Max Crosby, give him John Bates. Give him help. Give him the resources. But if he starts struggling, you've got to pull him early in the game. Because as you mentioned, if you have playoff ambitions, if you have legitimate Super Bowl ambitions, this is a game you have to win.
One thing that I don't think is being talked about enough, all right? Micah Parsons' jump off the snap was too perfect. Jayden needs to change his cadence. If it's Mariota, he needs to change it. There were plays in which they chipped Micah, and yet he split the chip and the tackle because his off-the-ball speed and his timing was too perfect.
Just incredible. It was so fun. I mean, as a Commanders fan, it stunk. But as a viewer, that's elite football right there. You're watching one of the best in the game doing what he does better than just about anybody in the entire National Football League. It was so fun to watch. It just from a, wow, that guy is superhuman. I don't know if it's the snap count or what. I will say I will put that back under Matt LaFleur owns Dan Quinn because Matt LaFleur does own Dan Quinn. We don't really know the Pete Carroll Dan Quinn score. That will be a fascinating subplot this weekend.
So we'll hear more from Dan Quinn on Wednesday about the status of Jayden Daniels. But if Jayden Daniels is just dealing with a knee bruise and that he could put an ice pack on it all week long and feel good enough to play on Sunday, how are you going to Von Miller, Zach Ertz, and Bobby Wagner and telling them that our quarterback is healthy enough to play, but we're going to rest him and go with Marcus Mariota?
This is pretty easy. Our quarterback can't run. Our quarterback could not run against the Green Bay Packers, and you saw what this offense is missing when Jayden Daniels can't run. What was our whole offseason conversation, Adam? Does Jayden Daniels need to run less to preserve his NFL future? And you said it over and over, and you were correct. He has to run. That's the engine that drives this offense. He couldn't run against the Green Bay Packers, and you saw what happened. If he can't run, he can't win. Forget can he play. Can he run? Can he run it 7 or 8 times in the game, take hits, get back up, and keep quarterbacking the team? If he can't do that, I don't want him anywhere near the field on Sunday.
I think he can. I think it is a very positive sign that he finished out the game against the Green Bay Packers, that he did not, let the training staff come on the field and look at him, that he did not leave that game due to an injury. He played through it. It was 17-3 when he got hurt. The game ended, And, of course, he gets wrapped up in the giant ice pack, and all the conversation is about his limp to the podium there. He played through the pain. I think he could again on Sunday. You're going to need an adult in the room to have a conversation with Jayden and the training staff, because if there's a chance that he could further injure his knee, you absolutely have to sit him. If that's not the case, let the man ball.
Yeah, only if he can. If he can't run, I don't want him out there. I don't want a guy who, hey, we're going to pocket passer him. He's going to figure it out. Maybe he can against the Raiders. There's the guy who threw a Hail Mary with the broken ribs. I think he can figure it out. I want 100% Jayden Daniels, and I think the best chance of getting that is by waiting a week and giving him this week off.
I think he can run. I think he will run. But then you have to look at Cliff Kingsbury, who needs to not call design runs. If he wants to run on scramble situations, that's fine. We can't be calling design runs for a guy that may be limited at any point in this upcoming matchup on Sunday.
You're limiting the playbook. He's out. He's out. He can be in, but with a limited playbook, no, he's out. That's a Super Bowl thing. This is week 3 against the Raiders.
I want to win. I just want to win, and I think Jayden Daniels would give this team the best chance of winning. I'm Adam Epstein. You're listening to AWOD Radio here on the new Sports Radio 910 The Fan, now 105.1 FM.